Hi, welcome to Chard Review. The story begins with an optimistic and hard-working woman named Chu. She has been recruited as a housekeeper for Lindsay Lyon, an attractive young businessman. On her first day of work, she begins cleaning the house without realizing Zion is there. While she is tidying the room, she is startled to see him approaching her. However, when he doesn't acknowledge her and says nothing, she understands that he's blind. After this, she sneaks into the bathroom so he doesn't notice her presence. But this proves to be a serious mistake when Sale walks into the bathroom to take a shower. So she has no choice but to see him bathing in front of her eyes, which makes her nervous, but at the same time she enjoys it. As Ian steps out of the shower, he realizes there's a female presence in his house. She then informs him that she is his new housekeeper. In response, he becomes very angry and yells at her, saying that he doesn't need her. Just then Zion's fiancée Lu walks in and, seeing them together, demands to know who the woman is. Zion seems to dislike Lu and he informs her that she is the new caretaker. After this, Zion informs to you that he will pay generously for her services, but she must fulfill 3 conditions. The first condition is that she follows his orders without question. The second condition is that she must be available to him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The third condition is that she must pretend to be his girlfriend if necessary. She doesn't have any issues with the conditions and she needs the money to pay off her debts, so she accepts. As she settles into the job, she finds a man to be a very demanding guy whose schools are for everything and even really tells her to stay away from him because she stinks. This irritates Shiyu and she remains patient because she needs the money. When she brings some coffee, Zane scolds her for using instant coffee instead of the machine. She then looks into his eyes for the first time and is captivated by his beauty, but she snaps out of it and realizes he's scolding her and becomes upset Wednesday and stops eating properly. Chow calls the secretary to find out what he like. After this, she cooks some different meals, hoping that he will finally enjoy it. A jerk complains every time. One night, Chow enters his room and notices him sleeping restlessly in the throes of a nightmare. Thinking he's sick, she gets closer to him, but he clutches her tightly. She then stares at him and notices how handsome he really is. After that, she spends the entire night tending to him and falls asleep next to him. The next morning, Zayon awakens to a phone call from his secretary, who informs him that he and you were photographed in his room and the rumors are everywhere. Lu obviously gets angry. And she learns about the situation. So one of her friends, Sandy, confronts Yu and insults her. But her heroine is not intimidated and she shouts back instead. Later, after Sandy leaves, Chu was approached by a man named Ling, who praises her for standing up for herself. He turns out to be a good friend of Zion, and they exchanged numbers before leaving. Later, Zion's mother calls him and reveals that Lu has told him everything. She then urges him to show his fiancée, Lu, more respect. However, Zion gets angry with his mother and tells her that she was the one who chose for him, and that he has absolutely no feelings for her. Afterward, Chu tells her friend Chang that she is sick of the situation, but she has to put up with it because she has made an agreement that she can't break. After a long day of work, Zane returns home and is pleased with Chili's work because everything is exactly as he like. When he catches her snoring on the sofa, he throws a blanket over her and she falls down. The following day, Lin contacts Yu and offers to pay her to accompany him to a party. Our heroine is desperate for money, so she readily agreed, lying then treat her to a complete makeover, making her look gorgeous at the party. Everyone stares her because she is rumored to be Zion's girlfriend. It turns out to be Lu's birthday, so she and Sandy approach Yu and berate her for showing up there. When Yu insults them back, a guy tries to hit her, but her friend Chang arrives just in time to stop him. Soon after, Zion finds out about this and scolds Ling for bringing Yu to the party and causing a scene. Later that evening, the lights are turned off and Shiyu can't see anything. She feels around for the switch. She accidentally touches Xion's abs. When the lights turn on, she realizes she's touched him and feels embarrassed. Later, Chuyu invites Sean to go out to dinner because his secretary told her that since he lost his sight, he hasn't set foot in an unfamiliar place. She then brings him to her favorite restaurant. Initially, he acts like a baby and complains about everything, but he begins to enjoy the food and the company. Later, on the way home, they are suddenly attacked by thugs, unfortunately during the tussle. Yu is stabbed in the arm and loses consciousness at the hospital, a concern. Zane stays with her and takes great care of her. Seeing him so worried, Willing realizes Xana's in love. So he gives him advice on how to impress Yu. Following the advice, our hero tries to seduce her every chance he gets, and although Chu tries to ignore it, she feels butterflies whenever he gets close to her. Next we discover that she used father as a gambling addict and he has put his family into financial ruin. When she learned of this, she angrily confronts her father. She informed him that she's only tolerating him because of her mother who is in hospital. After this, Shiyu goes to a bar. As she drinks, a man begins to harass her. Fortunately, Ling arrives, intervenes, and takes her home. At home, Xion looks after her. When he walks away, Shiyu asks him to stay by her side. Surprisingly, he obliges and kisses her on the cheek. The next day, Xion visits the doctor and learns that his eyes are healing. However, he tells the doctor not to notify anybody about the news. When he walks out, Lu approaches him and tries to speak with him, but he dismisses her and walks away. As days pass, Chu becomes an expert in the kitchen, fulfilling Xana's demands. One night Chu comes down with a cold, so Chang brings her some chicken broth. Xion is clearly jealous and tells him to leave so that she can rest and recuperate. After that, Zane tries to touch her forehead to see if she has a fever, but she backs away. At the same time, Zane trips and when Shiyu tries to reach for him, she falls on top of them and they accidentally. Yes, the two are dumbstruck for a second. Then they start kissing passionately. The following morning, Xion also comes down with a cold and now Chiyu has to take care of him. Later, his mother visits him in the hospital and asks about his plans for his marriage to Lu. In response, Zane coldly tells her that he will not marry someone he does not love. Zane indirectly commits himself to Chiryu and asks her to be patient until his eyesight has fully returned. At that moment, a nurse enters with the needle, causing him to panic. And when she uses us, she begins to laugh. Afterward, Luke tries to insult Yu by telling her that she has nothing more than a housekeeper with no future. When Jane finds out about this, he calls Lu and warns her to lie to Yu alone, or she'll face the consequences. In the next scene, Shiyu's father finds her again and asks for money. She submissively gives him everything she has, but he demands more. When things get intense, Xion interjects and gives the old man his card when they arrive home. Shu's school Jian. We're handing over his card since her father is a money-sucking, lost cause. However, our hero gets upset because he didn't even know that she had a father. He accuses her of hiding things and this causes a heated argument between them. Frustrated beyond words, Tiu storms off. On the way, she runs into her friend Shong, who consoles her affectionately. Back at home, Xion becomes concerned about Chiyu and calls her, but she doesn't respond. When she finally returns home, he kisses her forcefully, even though she repeatedly asks him to stop. Xion soon realizes his mistake and apologizes to her. He then takes her to his bed where she kisses him and the two make love the next morning. As Tiu jokingly pushes John, he tells her not to hit her husband. All of a sudden he gives her with a very precious necklace that his mother had given him for his future wife. She used speechless and doesn't know how to react. Later, at work, she sits on his lap and he treats her quite lovingly. One of the office staff notices them and spreads the news about their bosses. Fair afterward, while making lunch, she receives a phone call from her friend and rushes out without turning off the stove. It turns out that Chang is headed abroad and wants to see her one last time. Although he knows he's too late, Chang confesses his feelings to her. However, the honest Chiyu admits that she likes someone else and walks away. When she returns home, she smells something burning and starts to panic. Fortunately, Zane tells her not to worry. As he arrived home in time and managed to turn off the stove, she notices that he has a minor wound on his hand and asks him how he managed to put the band-aid on. In response, Zane reveals that he has recovered 40% of his vision, making her happy. The following day, she was summoned to the hospital by Zane's doctor. He gives her the good news that Xian will soon completely regain his eyesight. She was thrilled to hear this, but at the same time she is confused why the doctor didn't call Zane. Just then, Lu arrives on the scene. It turns out that she was behind this whole scheme. She tells Chiryu that she will fix A's eyes and pay for her mother's treatment. However, she has a condition: you must stay away from Xian. Our heroine thinks about it for a while and accepts a deal for the sake of Zane and her mother. The next day, Zane gets ready for surgery and tells Chiyu that he wants to marry her and can actually wait to see her when he does. Afterward, Chu cries her heart out and writes a letter for him. She puts the necklace with it and leaves the house. Later, after the successful surgery, Zane removes his blindfold. But he cannot see Chiyu anywhere. He then panics and leaves the hospital despite just having had surgery. When he gets home, he finds a letter telling him not to wait for her because she has gone abroad in the following days. Seiyan hires a private investigator to track down Chu, but she appears to have vanished off the face of the earth. Lu believes that this is the ideal opportunity to win Seiyan over, but he still rejects her. 5 years have passed. But Xian still can't forget Chiyu and hopes to see her again one day. Fortunately, his wish is granted when she returns to attend a friend's wedding. Soon after, Zane finds her and is surprised to see that she now has a son. They all go out with their friends and Seiyan asks whether she plans to leave again. Just then, the child addresses him as Daddy. Confused, he asked for clarification and the kid reveals that his mother told him that he is his father. We flash back 5 years when Chiyu met the doctor. Shockingly, he told her that she was 3 months pregnant. The father was none other than Xian. Back in the present, Chu and Xian sit together and sort everything out. He returns the necklace to her and promises that he will never let her go again. Chu then asks about the women he's been with because there was a rumor that he has become a womanizer after she left. In response, Xian tells her that they were just actresses he hired. The movie ends as the two rekindled their romance, smile at each other, and kiss. Please like and subscribe for more movie review. Thank you for watching.